Huzzah! It's me, Fitouri, your host for the evening, and welcome to PIDCAST episode 22. I am here with a guy who hasn't read the book but seen the movie, Matt.
I'm doing that thing where I just collect all of the books for the day when the internet eventually shuts down and print media is the only form of entertainment we have. So I'll get to them, but I'm going to watch the movies while we still have them.
That's fair. I'm the undiagnosed ADHD kind of person where I have the books on my shelf, but I listen to the audiobook because if I try to read the paper print, I get to chapter 2, then I'm
Oh,
done.
have you done the thing where you listen to the audiobook and read the print version and you rotate between them? It's wild.
Oh, no, but someone else told me that sometimes they read with the audiobook playing in their ears at the same time. I was like,
Oh, it's just
maybe
like
that would keep
story
me dialed
time.
in. Yeah, it's very
Hmm.
nostalgic.
All
Anyways,
right.
speaking of nostalgia, we have a
Maybe
game.
maybe we'll have someone read the Pitcast to us one time.
That's what Monk can do next week when he comes back. But until then, this week we're going to dig into all your local footy news in our Pitter Chatter, including the long-awaited announcement of the new Denver NWSL team name. We'll also recap this week's game against Seattle. I know it's been a long week ago since we played Seattle away, but we're going to dive into what was an incredible story of a game. And then, of course, merciless banter with our fantasy section. We'll then transition into looking forward to this upcoming game this week away at Philadelphia. Matt, bring us into Pitter Chatter.
All right. So the biggest pitter chatter, and this is outside of Rapids, but this is for the Denver soccer community on whole. Denver NWSL is no more. That's because this morning we found out that the team is going to be Denver Summit FC. What do you think?
You know, I'll be honest, but I saw the announcement this morning. I was grumpy. It felt a little bland. Not didn't quite I don't know. I think you've used this word for me. It felt safe, but I think by the time I go to bed tonight, I'll be fully a Denver Summit FC stan girl. I love what they're doing with the branding. I love, yeah, the aesthetic and the imagery that they're using. And I just think, I think back to when the Rapids were picked. I don't even think through what the other team names are. I'm just burgundy and blue, right? And so there will be a time where we forget this process in the silly survey, and we Summit is the only name and brand we can think of, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're right. You talked about it being safe. It's just a really good launching point. Like it's not offending anyone like Boss Nation did. And they were able to dial in a name, Summit, that is pretty ubiquitous to Colorado, and then launch their branding off of that. So we see the greens, the yellows, the white, the sandstone. Uh, I thought they did a killer job. They've got secondary marks. It looks like in their branding announcement that they're going to have all sorts of other colors. It looked like maybe we've got some like periwinkle or some purple. You know how we care about purple on this podcast. That might come in. Um, I'm really excited. I thought the merch looked really cool. I got to see one of the hats with the D logo on it at the happy hour event, and I thought that people were going to jump the Denver 7 newswoman to take this hat from her. She was guarding it with her life. But yeah, we'll talk more about that here in a bit because we do have some other news. Pitcast is branching out to a sister show. Sarah, what's that show going to be called?
So we are really excited to launch our sister show that's going to cover Denver Summit FC. It's going to be called Summit Up. So the same hot takes and snarkiness that you have come to love with Pidcast will be covered with some new hosts and a new league. It was Summit Up. So make sure that you subscribe to that and check them out.
Yeah, we're so excited for the women's team, the women's game, and to really just jump into that community. But back to our Rapids community, some transfer news. Cheeto Awazim went to take a medical for his potential transfer to Nantes on Monday, and he was not here at training on Tuesday. So I think we can infer that medical went well. He did not seem that anything was ailing him. So we have probably seen the last of Cheeto Awazim in a Rapids jersey. So pouring out for Cheeto, the jersey I bought at the beginning of this season, just like last year. I bought the Moist Bombito jersey, and both of them have left in a summer transfer. I do think what's really cool is my last interaction with Cheeto was at training last week, and I got to talk about how cool it was for him to be able to banter with Rafa in Portuguese, and he was telling me the 7 different languages that he speaks, and just like how valuable that is as a teammate, and just how cool that is as a person that he can fluently go across the globe and just add to the conversation.
Absolutely. I think as a player, as a person, it's exciting to see new opportunities open up for him. As a podcast, obviously, that cares about the actual people in soccer. It's incredible to see, but it does open up an ongoing question for the Rapids, which is like, what the fuck with that back line? So I think we're gonna continue to wonder what the defensive strategy is. Although, of course, I'm a little less concerned with that with our Purple King back. But just we're gonna see some switches happening up, and I'm curious to see where they go.
Yeah, we can talk about the back line a little bit more when we get to the Philadelphia preview, but that's a completely valid point. And moving away from the back line, we can also talk about the team officially announced that they have parted ways with Kevin Cabral. We do want to say merci to Kevin Cabral. We only had wonderful interactions with him. The person that he was, it's a bummer that it didn't work out on the field. For one shiny moment there last season, it really looked like he had turned the corner and was just going to be an absolute difference maker. But he got derailed by that broken elbow against his former team, LA Galaxy, and I guess that was the sliding doors moment. We look forward to seeing where Kevin Cabral ends up, and I know I'll be watching his career, especially if he ends up back in Ligue 1 in France, where all my favorite players now play for. So I can watch Moise with Nice, I can watch Cheetah with Nantes, and then maybe Kevin with Lyon or something. Yeah.
Amazing. Happy trails.
And then in some fun news, I was talking to my nephew this weekend. It was my sister's birthday, so happy birthday, Allie. And then my nephew's 5, and he was on the phone with me, and he said that he's getting really into Pokemon, and he had just pulled a Rayquaza card, and I knew what Rayquaza was because of interviewing Rapids right back Reggie Cannon about his favorite Pokemon. And Reggie got me so many cool points that I was able to be like, Logan, Rayquaza, I know that guy. Legendary Pokemon. Looks super cool. So thank you, Reggie Cannon, for making me Uncle of the Day for this past Sunday.
The only time that being a podcast host for an MLS team is going to make you cool amongst the youth. But
Yeah.
This is a great opportunity to remind Reggie Cannon, I am sure a devout listener, that we are very excited to have him on to talk Pokemon, one of my favorite topics. And also, if Logan plays Pokemon Go, tell him to add me as a friend.
All right. Moving on from Pokemon Go, let's go to Rapids 2, where they put up one hell of a game this past weekend at University of Denver Soccer Stadium. Sarah, I don't know how much you were following this game. I went to it live, and it looked like we had a repeat of the game we're about to talk about, where the Rapids 2 went down 0-3 to the Tacoma Defiance. People in the stands, you could feel the mood is down. We're thinking this game is over. And did you look at the scoreline, Sarah? Do you know how it ended up?
I did. Yes.
Okay.
And also, this is one of those games where I am sure there is nothing quite like being in the stands. And the second best was watching the real-time responses of people on social media for this game. But yes, go ahead. Tell people how it ended.
Yeah, so at the half, we are 0-3, and then we are 1-3, and then we are 2-3, and then we are 2-4, a little dicey, but then we are 3-4, then we are 4-4, then we are 5-4, and finally, via Josh Copeland, Rapids 2 secures the victory 6-4 against Tacoma Defiance. We saw braces from Bilo Jop. I talked to the coach after the game. Bilo left the last game in an ambulance, and he left this game with a brace. Like, that's wild. I mean, he might have been faster because he was without maybe a tooth or two weighing him down from that foot to the face he took last match. But he scored, I think, within 30 seconds of subbing on around the 60th minute. And then
That's incredible.
we saw Malik Pinto. He gets a brace. I found out this was a birthday gift that his mother asked for. So we see Rapids always seem to put goals on the board for their mom's birthdays, calling back to Calvin Harris's goal for Mumsy. We saw Sydney Wathuda with a howler, and this is a kid that they are very excited about. And then finally, that Josh Copeland goal, I just can't talk about enough because he was just like cold as ice. He has the ball, he dribbles two defenders in the box, pulls the goalkeeper out, and then just sidesteps him back of the net. This was his first game of the season. We got to talk to him after the game. You can check that interview on our socials. But what a performance by this team and all the players. And you could tell the elation in the stands was amazing.
What a fun game. And it's just, when the up and coming players are so electric and fun to watch and having these great results, it just says a lot for the future of soccer in Colorado. So that's exciting to hear.
Yeah, and then finally, a little bit of the rumor mill. You've probably seen some talk about Alexi Manyoma. He is a 22-year-old Colombian national. He has caps for the Colombia U20 team. He currently plays in the Argentinian Primera League for Estudiantes on loan from his home team of Cortuluá. He fun kid. If you look at all of his videos, his social media, his highlights, no matter what he's doing, he has a smile on his face. So I'm really excited for that. It seems like he's going to bring a great energy. He had 10 goal contributions in 1,000 minutes at the end of 2024. He really started to come on in November. He had 4 goals, 6 assists, looks to be just an absolute speed dart down the left side. So I talked to some Colombian friends at soccer this past weekend, one of which knew him from his time with the U20 team, and just said he's just a really fun young player and that we should be excited to have him. So if this rumor checks out and comes to fruition and we get Alexi Manyoma on the Rapids, I think he's going to be a really fun player to watch.
Well, we keep hearing these rumors, so I'll believe it when I see him land at DIA. But it's an exciting potential.
Are you going to go camp out at DIA for transfer watch?
Anything for the fans. We have to wait till Monk comes back because we can only have one person dispatched in the field at a time. But
well, can we just get can we plant a bug on Lucifer and he can just be our eyes and ears?
Lucifer, obviously fan of the pod, would happily do that work for us. So, amazing.
Blue Pony Club, like he's our avatar. He can do the work for us.
Honestly, frankly, Lucifer already knows the score of the game before it even happens. So we have to make sure we keep him on our side. Once we get the Prairie Dogs content, we'll move on to wooing Lucifer.
I mean, making offerings to the Prairie Dogs is convenient when I'm at training, but if we need to drive or take the light rail out to DIA to make offerings to Lucifer, maybe I'll tell you what, we'll do that before second leg of Rocky Mountain Cup this season. We will trek out to DIA and make an offering to Lucifer. We also might get arrested because if we're just wandering around the airport, could be suspicious.
Is there a full moon around that time? We should look up when the nearest full moon is to the second Rocky Mountain Cup and go visit Lucifer. So, are we a Rapids podcast or an occult podcast? We don't know. But what we do know is this past week, Rapids, like Rapids 2, were playing a game of comeback, and nothing better showed that than this past weekend when the Rapids played against Seattle Sounders away in Seattle. We played a reverse New England where we managed to come back from a 0-3 deficit to tie the game. And my hosts like to mock me about how exciting I think ties can be. But if there was ever a game to prove them wrong, this was it. So Seattle took the lead early on. They scored in the 16th, 43rd, and 47th minute. And, credit where credit is due. Rusnak with a painfully strong showing. That's our star midfielder. He had 2 of their goals and was the assist on the third, all in those first 47 minutes of play. Now, going into the second half, it was all the Rapids all day. But kind of in an unsuspecting way. So we had both Georgie and Cole who found themselves taking PKs early in the second half. And unlike our kind of like more recent curses with PKs, both were able to easily find the back of the net. And then it was everyone's favorite time of day. Yappy subbed in at the 70th minute and went on to score the equalizer in the 75th minute. So it was Yappy hour for the clutch tying third goal. But I think that maybe even my description has failed to capture what an absolute tornado this game was. Matt, you want to help us like dig into this a little more?
Yeah, well, just while it's fresh in my head, I think Darren Yappy, because I know you're listening, we need like a signature celebration when you score. Like throw up the Y and point to the watch so it's Yappy hour. Fans, let's start doing this in the stands and we'll
Yappy
make this
hour.
happen. Yeah, Yappy hour. I think that would go.
Well, it's fun. We haven't had a like true Yappy hour goal in a hot minute here, and
Yeah.
and that was quintessential Yappy sub in the 70th, goal in the 75th.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I think talking about the game, the Rusnak stuff really it hurts so much more because of his history as an FSL player. So it just seems like even though he's in Seattle now, he's still, you know.
He was digging it in.
But
Yeah.
to be fair, he earned one of those goals. The other was a gift, and the best thing I saw on the internet that night was a GIF of I think it's Pippin from The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings saying, "Let's go on an adventure," and someone just posted Zach Steffen on that goal because Zach, bless his purple heart, he goes out. He's got the ball at his feet and he's looking to put one downfield. I don't know if Calvin was streaking, he sees something, but he goes all the way out to the sideline, like all the way, puts the ball down the field. Unfortunately, it gets deflected back into the middle, right to the feet of Albert Rusnak, who has an open goal to just shoot the ball at, and Zach can't get back from the benches fast enough to save the ball. So I think the Purple King gifted him that one. I don't know if it was if Rusnak's birthday, maybe but that was very nice of Zach.
Yeah, I mean that was just a funky goal where Zach was completely out of the box. But if folks watched, the first one was really similar, where Zach seemed to trip or something. Like he lost his feet before the shot even happened. It seemed like a weird fluke for a shot that like could have been decent, but I think that our Purple King could have saved.
I mean, that goes back to what we talked about last episode. He slipped on the turf. We knew that
Hmm.
could happen. We saw several players slip on the turf this entire game, but we called that coming into the game, and for that to happen so early in the game, I hated to be that we were right on that one. It's a deflection that looks like Zach is wrong-footed, but is going to very easily cut back and make the save. And when he cuts back, you can see his foot just slides out from under him on the turf and he falls and just looks like you know what he's thinking. Like, I had that, man. Come on.
For sure. And so I love this game, and it's my second favorite game to another game that we said just told a story, which was another away loss, but it was the butterfly effect game, right? Which was where Georgie injured, Frederick red, womp womp womp, rest of the game Portland, maybe. But I think this game tells another story because somewhere in Cascadia, there's a fan podcast who is saying the exact same thing about us, which is that we got 2 of our goals off of PKs. Like that is just unreal. So we have Seattle getting two funky goals with like either a tripping or out of position goalkeeper, and then on the flip side, Rapids coming back with two PKs in a row, like back to back.
Yeah, that was straight Hafa Navahu dark arts magic right there. He drew both of those penalties. The first one was getting clipped in the box. The second, I don't know what Thomas was thinking, the goalkeeper for Seattle, but he misses the ball and Hafa's going to it and he decides, I'm just gonna grab him by the ankles. I can't believe he didn't get a red.
Absolutely. And I think that is one of the you know, we knew going into this game that Stefan Fry, a lot of people have probably seen like the fairly like viral video of Stefan getting hit in the head. I know we've talked about it, but Seattle really went into this game with the second string goalkeeper. And honestly, Thomas had some incredible saves. Like this was there were a lot of really dangerous shots in this game. But that was just one of those moments where you're like, would Stefan Fry have done that? Probably not. Just that top tier goalkeeper that we know Stefan is for us and that Fry is for them. Um, it didn't do any favors for Seattle here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that Stefan Fry saves that. He probably just lets it go in and doesn't interfere with the attacker to get the penalty. But in that situation, also like I'm not even that mad at Andrew Thomas because it's do you give up a sure goal or do you take a chance on yourself to stop a PK? And given the Rapids had missed two PKs recently, if he was prepped for that and decided, you know what, I'm gonna bet on me. I mean, he bet wrong, but good for him. And you were right to call out that Andrew Thomas coming in for Stefan Fry is a lot like how Nico came in for Zach Steffen. These are two backups that have shown when given opportunities. So, I mean, I will shout out to Andrew Thomas. That I thought that was a great performance.
Yeah, I also think an interesting window we saw here is we've had a lot of games now with back-to-back PKs. And there was like an interesting moment last game where people felt like the team was unclear on who was going to take a PK. We asked the coach about it. Chris assured us that they definitely knew who was going to take the PK. I still have my curiosities, but it's really interesting. So we go from 2 games ago where Georgie's hitting the post. So we start rotating who's taking our PKs. Last game, Hoffa took it. This game, Hoffa drew and success or no, not successfully. He didn't successfully take it last game. So this game, Hoffa drew both of those PKs and yet didn't take either of them. And we did see Cole take the second one. Obviously, both Georgie and Cole's shots were beautiful. Thomas went the correct direction on Georgie's kick, but didn't quite get it. Stayed low for Cole's, and Cole hit high. Beautiful shots into the back of the net for both of them. But I think it's showing us an interesting it's not clear who's taking our PKs, and I don't think that's necessarily like common for other teams where you have more established set takers. We have set piece takers. We have 3 players who seem to be in the running for these PKs.
Yeah, I think you called that spot on. I do think Georgie was going to be the prescribed PK taker going into this game, and had something gone awry, Hoffa would be number 2. But like we talked about that leadership last week and all of the different players in the locker room kind of stepping up in their own ways. I thought this was huge for Georgie to give Cole the opportunity to take that PK on the second drawn card. And boy, did Cole take that PK. I mean, he roofed it. That thing was either going out of Lumen Stadium or into the top net. There was no chance a goalkeeper was stopping that shot. So good for him. I think Monk had brought it up last week too. Like we have a lot of side to side PKs, but not a lot of those like top or upper 90 PK takers that you just know no goalkeeper is going to get a reach on.
And I think, we saw creative strategy with our set pieces last week that we talked about. We also saw a little bit of a juking coming from Hoffa. Both Georgie and Cole just went for the bangers, and that really served them in this game.
Yeah, and then I think what we're going to see now is Chris Armas always likes to talk about goals change games. Goals change players too. Cole getting that one even on a PK, like a PK is no like given, but for him to get a goal on the board, I think we're gonna start to see the Cole Bassett come up again. He's gonna be more confident. He's getting to play in a position he enjoys more. I think we're gonna get uh, a whole different Cole Bassett in the second half of the season. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, and I'm excited for him. Like, hi the bone bruise that he was experiencing really like came at a time where he was starting to ramp up for the season. And so like, I want Cole back. I want him to be on fire, and I think that this is a good moment for him.
I just want Cole to have a consistent period of time where his body feels good and he feels like he's put in a position to succeed. He's had a rough go these past 2 seasons with injuries, especially soft tissue injuries, and just for how much he will put in for this team, even playing through that bone bruise. I just want a stretch where he can just play some like healthy, fun ball.
Well, honestly, I was excited to watch this game. I think that away games are sometimes hard to feel invested in if you're not at a watch party. But wow, what a game that just kept giving from start to finish. So I hope other people enjoyed it as much as me.
Yeah, you talked about the watch party. I went to DNVR, shout out DNVR and shout out the Rapids. They did the original green kit launch watch party for that game. So Alex, Fern, and Ryan and the crew were out there selling kits, scarves, hats. The bar was packed. And it was like we talked about with the Rapids 2 game at halftime. Bar was pretty quiet, you know? We were trying to drum up some interest, but by the end of that game, you talked about ties. This was a tie that felt like a win. This was the reverse New England, a tie that felt like a loss then. This was very much a tie that felt like a victory. And I think a historic result for the Rapids to come back from down 3-0.
Absolutely. And I think one other thing that we have to know is the amount of cards in this game. So we had 9 total cards between the two teams, 5 for the Rapids, 4 for Seattle, but then an additional 2 penalties for Seattle. So this was just, I think there's a kind of an unspoken rivalry with these Cascadia teams, especially Seattle. I think that people were playing a little bit dirty, but man, it made for an exciting game to watch.
Yeah, and it made for 10 minutes of extra time in which all of us at DNVR really thought Rapids were going to pull this one out. And it was, oof, yeah,
But
I think,
I'm
go ahead.
excited to live in this world where we used to see 10 minutes of extra time and be like, "Oh shit, how many goals are we going to let in 10 minutes?" Right? Like the Rapids had a trend of only conceding in extra time, and 10 minutes of stoppage was a death sentence. That's not the team we're watching now. It's fun to watch them on their game with a comeback.
No, the world I'm excited to live in is, remember the world we lived in where it was 0-1, game over, turn the TV off, like you know the result? We were 0-3. Like, talk about getting over the hump. Talk about what the Georgie says this a bunch. Like, any team, anytime, any place. Like, Seattle is a good team, and Lumen is a formidable place to play.
Absolutely. And we've talked about this, right? What we saw midseason was a team where any small drawback could change the momentum of the game and then they were out. We're seeing the opposite out of this team. It's very fun.
Yeah. Well, should we move on into a little merciless fantasy banter as you talked about earlier?
Uh, it's I have heard other fantasy hosts talk about the curse of the first time that you talk publicly about your team on a podcast will be one of your worst seasons. And I feel like when I say merciless banter, it often turns into just Matt mercilessly flaunting in my face his outcomes. So, Matt, how did you do this week?
I mean, to be fair, I granted you mercy a few times when I said you are the better fantasy football player and that you did beat me that one time. And I think I was a pretty gracious loser in that instance. So I don't see how merciless it is to just occasionally remind you that I'm at the top of the table.
A reminder that continues to break my heart every day. But I will say that I beat you by 1 point this week. Um,
Did you?
I got 167, you got 166. How are you feeling with this score?
I I liked it. I actually had a pretty bad week because I messed up both my goalkeepers and then one of my defenders in Patty McNair. So I should have had way more points. But like I called last week, my boy Evander stepped up. I loved that.
Was that your captain?
Yeah, Captain Evander.
So I captained, no one will be surprised, Messi, which so those actually ended up being a wash. Both got 24 points or 48 with the captain. But I similarly like 167 sounds great, but I just missed on my defenders and my goalkeepers, places that I thought I would find clean sheets. I didn't. So I was seeing a lot of outcomes, some rotation in San Diego left me with only one score for a defender on my field. So you know, I my midfield was popping, Messi delivered, but yeah, my field wasn't great. Also, I put a 4 point in. This is heartbreaking. I'm telling you a heartbreaking story. Put a 4.0 Kansas City defender in, who they ended up subbing in, and I left 19 points in their second game. I left 19 points with Surridge on my bench. So and I checked lineups, didn't see him on the lineup.
Oh,
Not sure what happened there, but an embarrassing faux pas for sure. That cost me 19 points.
that's wild. I got Sam Surge's 19 points, and I'm sorry that happened to you. That, like, I don't even want to make fun of that. That sucks. That's the worst.
But it's the game. Um, it's nice to have a little bit of a reprieve. We're going into a single game week for our first time in a while. It makes it way less likely for something like that to happen because when you put a scrub on the field, you can trust that you can check a lineup and know if they're going to play a game because they only have one game that week. Yeah, so what are you thinking going into this single game week, Matt?
Yeah. Um, it's gonna be wild. So we've got Saturday, Cincinnati and Miami. That's what do we do there? Who are you captaining?
It's
Evander?
captain
Messi?
v captain there. Yeah,
Yeah.
right? I'll be honest, if Messi's on the field, I'm captaining Messi, but I went back and forth on do you have them both in this game? Right?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
I think that both of them produce at this point in a way that is not necessarily lineup dependent. And I don't think either team is goal proof, right? I
No,
think
not
both
at all.
teams let in goals, they just outscore their opponents. So I'll
Yeah,
have them both armband probably on Messi for me. Are you doing the
another
opposite?
one. Yeah, I'm not going to armband Messi. Come on, who do you think I am? I barely want Messi in my lineup, but apparently it's just this like inevitability of the game that you have to have Thanos in there, or you don't get to collect any Infinity Stones. Um,
Look at Matt just making all of these references.
yeah. So the other game from players that I know you and I both really like to play is we're gonna have Nashville and San Diego. So there's your Dryer, there's your Hanny, there's your Sam Surridge.
Okay, but
That's an
I
interesting
was
one.
looking at that game too. Are you taking Dryer and Hani for that game? My lineup currently doesn't have Mukhtar, just because he's the away player, but
I think Hanny's been location proof.
I
It's going to
agree.
be tough because my midfield's going to be congested this week because you look, Orlando City gets Columbus, and I never want to pull Ojeda out of my lineup. And then Carlos Heel gets Montreal. Like that feels like you could captain Carlos Heel.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely right now looking at my team, I have I'm going to be rolling a New England keeper probably into a Charlotte keeper for my switcheroo there. But I am capped out on New England players. I like a home team and against Montreal. Uh Definitely looking at that game. I also, yeah, I really like Charlotte against Toronto. I'm not necessarily looking I do have them right now as my
Really, Charlotte against Toronto?
yeah, I think Toronto away is a team to bet against.
I don't know. I always feel hesitant to search for goals against a Robin Fraser led team because that game could easily end up 0-0. He could just park the bus and play a super low block. Um, I mean, yeah, go for that one. I'm probably not gonna have any players from that game.
Interesting.
I think the late night Sunday spread is interesting for players that we're gonna have to wait and see because you get Minnesota, who seem to be back on a tear, get to play St. Louis, who seem to give away goals like candy. You get San Jose and their unpredictably like boomer bust offense against FSL, and then you get Vancouver Whitecaps against Sporting Kansas City. Like that seems like a get right game for Vancouver.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, all of those games sound fun. I am curious, and I was going to bring this up. What do you think of this Vancouver Sporting game? I think 5 games earlier in the season, I would have stacked my team with Vancouver. But Vancouver's been in a little bit of a slump and Sporting's not doing too bad. So I'm not, what are you thinking of that game?
I think Sporting having to go up to Vancouver and play in BC Place. I think Vancouver understands the assignment, and though Kansas City has been coming on a little bit as of late, I think this is Vancouver's game to score.
Well, because they're in the back end, that'll be who I'm looking to fill at least my switcheroo spots with if my bench doesn't hit. So I hope you're right. And of course, all of our thoughts and prayers are with the San Jose Earthquake as they go on to do the Lord's work this week against Real Salt Lake in the Lord's town of Salt Lake City.
Oh man. Well, now that you've invoked Salt Lake City, can we quickly change subjects?
Absolutely. Let's get the hell out of here. Pun intended. This week, the Rapids head to the East Coast again to take on Philadelphia with a game against one of the East Coast Division teams. Matt, what are you thinking for this game?
I think this one's going to be a real test. I don't know if you guys remember back to last year in Leagues Cup, we played Philly in that third place match, and that one was just it was a weird match. But Chris Armas and the boys got their first result in Philadelphia ever. We won in pens, and I mean, I I talked to Chris in training, and he talked about his relationship with Bradley Carnell and how they see the game. I think this was his quote exactly. We see the game very similarly. We know each other very well. This is going to be an interesting matchup between the two coaches, let alone between the personnel on the field, with Philly being a top of the East, top of the league type team. But we get a homecoming game for Purple King. Zach from Coatesville, Pennsylvania, Keegan as well, PA guy. So I got to think they want to put on for the home crowd.
Just to because you evoked that Leagues Cup game, and I just want to remind folks of what a going into this Leagues Cup this year, how incredible this game was. So just a reminder that this went to everyone's favorite penalty kicks. And in these penalty kicks, you have Gazdag, who of course, watch for him, and Brebo, who both took consecutive shots, and our Purple King Zach Steffen shut them down to win those PKs. So Rapids had their number a year ago. The question is, do we still have it now?
I mean, what's wild, we haven't gotten a result other than that PK. But if you look at our head to head, we each have beaten one another 4 times and we've drawn 7 times. So if location is the difference maker, maybe, but I think Rapids proved in Seattle again that any place, anytime, any team.
And I hope that's right. And it's a great opportunity to change, to turn the tables. Rapids haven't beat Philly other than that Leagues Cup game, of course, since 2018 in regular season play. I won't bring up the August 2022 game where we lost 6-0.
No,
to
you
Philly.
just said you weren't going to bring it up and then you brought it up.
We're done talking about it. But I think we're past the 6-0 days. I think we're a Rapids team that's here to fight and here to win. And so I'm excited for this game.
Yeah, I mean, Philly's going to be without 2 of their players. Nathan Harriel got is suspended next game for red card accumulation. And then Westfield, their left back, is suspended for a red card he received in the last game, which was a two yellow card sending off that he got. He got consecutive yellows and sent away. So we'll get to face Philly without two players that have been regularly in their starting 11. And then, like you talked about earlier in the show, we've got some backline questions. I think it's pretty safe to say we're going to be looking at Maxu and Ian Murphy next to each other as the center back pairing. I always worry about chemistry with the back line, but as we saw from the beginning of the season, like Ian Murphy is someone we can count on. I'm not worried about Ian taking that place. It's going to be the depth after Ian Murphy and Maxu that we need to start thinking about. Unless they're going to have Keegan playing center back. I know Vince Rinaldi and Josh Balluz were up at training today from Rapids 2. And they're definitely nothing to turn your nose up at. Josh is huge, and Vince, a big guy himself, also really smart on the ball in the back line. I think those are two to watch, filling in the ranks for this match and the matches upcoming.
Well, and I think you brought up the big injuries coming out of Philly or suspensions. Important to note, like, we're kind of not sitting there, right? Like, this is a first time that we've kind of gotten most of our main players are healthy and on the field, knock on wood. But to have Zach back, to have Cole back, yes, we're going to have some backline questions, but at least we're going to be showing up in full form, and that's nice to see.
Yeah,
And
I mean, go ahead.
I will note that we have Nico Hansen, who, of course, played many of our games early season in the goal while Zach has been out, is out injured, as well as Wayne Frederick with a hip injury.
We don't know that they are out yet. That is a holdover from last game. Nico was back doing some work to the side. He said the groin was feeling better. Whether he's cleared in time this week to make the trip and play at Philly is yet to be seen. I wouldn't count that out, but I also wouldn't bet on it. And then Wayne appeared to be back at training today, so I would expect Wayne to be available for the match, barring any setbacks. I'll be curious to see what we do with Jackson and Sam on the left side. But other than that, I think we've got a pretty good idea. I don't think they're going to mess with that KDP on the left, Calvin Harris on the right, Georgie in the top middle. It'll be curious to see what midfield tandem they go with. Are we going to see Cole and Connor again, Cole and Josh, Connor and Josh, Cole and Ollie, all the different iterations?
Either way, we continue to see this like fun gameplay that we're seeing where they're trying new things. They're making connections that I don't think we saw earlier in the season. So I'm hoping we continue to see this fun Rapids because, like, frankly, against a team like Philly, you're going to need something a little different in order to come out on top.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you're spot on. We do have the benefit of we have doubled Philly's goal output over the last 5 games. We've scored 10 goals. Philly has scored 5. I do think this is going to be a weird game, but I'm willing to take that in as they might try to be more conservative, more defensive, and get one or two to just control and stamp out the game. But if we can continue our accelerated goal pace, we can put 2-3. Like, this game, I think, is easily ours.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about this before. It's just really hard when you're looking at an East Coast team to fully understand how the two divisions compare and how we compare against Philly. So, like, where we go against a West Coast team who we've likely already played this season, or we have a lot of shared opponents, we just like don't have those same metrics against Philly. So it could be an exciting and surprising game, and I hope it's ours.
Yeah, I think we should look at Ted Kudipietro a lot in this game. I think maybe it was earlier in the season. Someone asked, might have been Matt Pollard or DNVR or Keith, asked about the difference between the East and West Conference. And I believe Ted talked about the Eastern Conference being a little bit more technical, a little bit more like kind of feeling out the game, and Western Conference games being a lot more physical. So this might be a game where we really need KDP to show up and show out. This could be a Ted game incoming.
Well, I've just loved to see the role he's playing on the field. Just itching for another goal, you can tell. So hopefully he'll find it in Philadelphia.
Yeah. You want to do some score predictions?
Woof. Yeah, let's do it.
So a win, 0-0 final. What would woof?
I think woof is one of those where it's just hard to know, right? This one, I don't see a lot of really high scoring matches out of Philly this year. They tend to be low scoring games. They have been held to 0 several times, so I would love to see that. But yeah, I also don't see big numbers being put up against them. So I'm kind of wondering if we're going to see like a 1-0 is maybe what I'm going to go with. I'm going to give it to the Rapids. Um, I think Hoffa being held scoreless, right? Scoreless last game, is he's someone who wants to be on the scoreboard and he doesn't like being scoreless. So I'm gonna give it to him.
Yeah, but I always like to, if he's earning 2 PKs that we convert, like sure he's not getting 2 counting stats, but I'm putting +2 on Hoffa for that past game.
Yeah, like I think it's the same that we've seen out of Cole the last few games, right? Like they are absolutely dynamic, absolutely necessary part of the teams, but like they want the goal. You know
Yeah,
that they want that stat next
yeah,
to their name. And I just think that Hoffa at the 9, he doesn't like going a game where there's goals and they're not his. So I'm
that's
going to
very
give it to
true.
him for this game.
All right, so Hoffa and KDP game. I guess that makes it easy. I'm gonna call 2-1. Hoffa and KDP score goals. I think it's probably gonna be Wagner that gets one on us.
That tricky little defender sneaking up from the back line. Uh, uh,
Anything else? Any final thoughts? Did LA Galaxy do anything for a Sara Fitouri call out this week?
my gosh, I didn't even follow their games, but they are absolutely uh they're not making it fun for me to shit on them anymore. Uh
You should have watched El Tráfico. It was wild. Talk about another
this is
comeback win.
this is also twice, right? Twice the Galaxy has drawn in El Tráfico this season, their worst season of ever since ever, and they just keep it reminds me of the old school Rapids who were like, "Hey, we're not doing anything with our season. We're just using our season to ruin your day." Hey, LAFC, you really care about winning this game? We're going to show up today.
Oh
So
my gosh.
I did
Yeah.
see that final score and I had to laugh.
Yeah. Well, good for them. And that was a wild match. It just goes to show nothing else matters in a rivalry game. It's those 90 minutes, every other stat, every other performance, out of perspective. Wild. Speaking of wild, where can we find you, Sara?
You can find me on the socials, or this weekend I'm going hard with the Rapids. And by Rapids, I mean the Colorado River Rapids. I'm going to be floating the river with my friends, hopefully getting enough surface to check the lineups for my fantasy game, but getting some lovely outdoor time and really embracing our team culture with Colorado's water and rivers. How about you, Matt?
I mean, now that you said that, like, I'm a little angry because Monk gets to go on a mission trip down to Mexico to scout Liga MX teams. You get to do the actual team's identity and go rapid rafting. And my ventures are to go find the chirpiest prairie dog holes around Dick's Sporting Goods and try and take weird little videos of them and offer Nature's Valley bars. We are not the same. I need a glow up here.
Matt, don't worry. We are going to dispatch you to go do our negotiations with Lucifer. So,
Uh
official Lucifer liaison of the PIDCAST podcast.
Rule number 1 of approaching Lucifer, do not do it from behind. Speaking of blue things, you can find me on Blue Sky at Matthew Wick. You can find Pitcast on Blue Sky on Instagram. You can find our new show Sum It Up on Blue Sky and Instagram. You can find me this weekend. I'm gonna go to all the NWSL stuff. So I'm gonna be at the One Cup Brewing noon party, and then the big block party out at McGregor Square. I think it's gonna be a really fun time. This community is jazzed, and when you get that many soccer fans together, it's always a hoot. Monk, where can we find you? We should probably call his lawyer.
Well, hopefully Monk succeeds getting back across the border safely, and we will see you all next week at our regular time to talk about more rapid stuff.
Up the Pids.
Up the fucking Pids.
Yeah, and you're about to listen to Don Chicharrón Especial in your eardrums. Best local chicha band. Rock out.
Tienes esa cosa especial, bella mariposa especial, ella con su rosa especial, todos quieren ese especial. Tú tienes esa cosa especial, bella mariposa especial, ella con su rosa especial, todos quieren